What's up, guys? Matty here, mixandmastermysong.com. Today we're checking out a new plugin from Plugin Alliance called the Neold or the Neold, depending on how you want to say it. Essentially, it's a replication of the famous mic pre, the V76, and the German compressor. Some say they call it the German Fairchild, which is the V73. So let's check it out and see what this thing can do. Let's go. All right, guys, so here is the plugin. What we'll do is we'll run through kind of how it works, and then we'll check out some examples after that. So essentially, this is the gain stage here. And the cool thing about it is what it will do is you can drive the pre and get some of the warm fuzziness that a lot of us like, saturation stuff. But what it does is it compensates the gain. So the more I turn it up, the more saturated it's going to get, but it doesn't get louder, which is a really cool feature I've been seeing a lot more plugin companies do, especially Plugin Alliance. They did that with the Neve one they released recently too. Then you got a couple different EQ points. So this is just a filter, basically, low cut filter at 80 Hertz or 300, which are both kind of useful in certain ways. And then you have a combination, which I still got to check out a bit more, but you can combine the two filters. And then this is a rather either flat or a dip around 3K. Next, you got this linear button. So when this thing was created years ago, it had like what they called a broadcast bandwidth filter. And so essentially what that is it cut it at 40 Hertz and 15K. So that's probably fine for most stuff you're going to be using this for, just to give it that sound. But if you feel like, and actually turned it off, well, first example is this 808. I turned it off on here because I wanted a little more extension and not cutting it at 40 Hertz, although you didn't hear that big a difference as we'll check out once we get there. The next section up is the compressor. So you have a compressor and a limiter and then bypass. It's got this release, which is cool to have. Kind of a slowish release, but this is pretty fast at 0.3 for a tube-based compressor. You have fast and auto there, two different attack modes, which both sound pretty cool. You can check out. And then a filter here to filter out the low end. It's probably at 90 Hertz. I'm not sure, but knowing Plugin Alliance, probably around 90 Hertz. Then the stereo, mono stereo. I believe this is just to link or unlink the channels. Lastly is kind of your output stage. You got power button. You can check the meters, either your input, gain reduction, or output. Mix knob, which is another cool feature. All the different companies are starting to add to their compressors. Makeup. So this is kind of interesting. You got a makeup and a trim. The makeup's just for the compressor, and the trim is for everything. So you can turn it all up or down here on your trim if it's not loud enough, or if it's too loud once it's going through your chain to really compensate on what this is doing. And then the makeup's for the compression. Okay, so two different kind of output stages. The one thing I wish they had done, and I'll show you why in a second, is added a trim here before the chain, because I found even though you're hearing the saturation, if you really want some strong saturation, I had to add a trim track on most channels, even if they're fairly loud, in order to really make this thing start kind of breaking up. So it would have been cool just to have a little trim here, just to like be able to do that. Maybe they'll do that in another version. Who knows? Anyway, let's check this thing out. So first we got it on this 808 here from this song by my buddy Cam Meekins. And let's just run through it. We'll start at this thing flat and then go from there. So it defaults at 58. So here we go. So you can see, let me get rid of that click. I know that's annoying. You can see once we put the trim on, it kind of boosted it up a bit more and saturated it more, which I kind of dig. Let's try checking this linear switch on and see if you guys can hear the lower extension. If you're on headphones, you might be able to. I like it better with it off for some reason. It sounded a little thinner, and that's weird when it's on, but it is what it is. And then here's the filters. If you see, we cut it to 300. We lost lots of our bass. And then this 3K, you're probably not going to hear too much. We'll check this out on this music example in a second. Let's add a little bit of compression here and see what that can do for us. So it sounds really good, man. Really thickens up that bass nice, and adds a bit of saturation, a little compression to tuck it together a little bit. Really dig what it does on bass. Cool, cool. The next example I got here is just kind of this keyboard track. Here we go. And I actually really liked what it did on this. Let me get a little loop going here. Big joint. This is where I like to use a lot of kind of saturation plugins on keyboards that are just from a MIDI thing and don't really have much like warmth and like kind of a little bit of grit and energy. I always like to use these on here. So let's check this out. And then here also, I like the 3K because sometimes your keyboards can get in the way of your vocals, and 3K is, you know, fairly important frequency when mixing. So you can cut that and maybe just add 80 Hertz filter here and see what that sounds like. And then maybe some light compression here. Let's do auto again. No filter needed. And let's do like right around there should be fine. And this is what I mean by wanting the input. So we can't compress any harder now because this thing's already cranked, right? So in order to get this thing pushing more, I have to turn a trim up. And that's why I was saying it'd be nice if they had had a trim pre, because it seems like you got to hit this thing kind of hard to really get it to move. I mean, this level's not super loud, but it's, you know, most compressors I'd be able to hit as hard as I want at this level. So maybe some sort of trim before would be awesome. Other than that, so far so good. So I dig it on there too. It just adds that extra little bit of warmth that this didn't have before and tucks it together again as well. I don't see myself using this compressor for something like slamming it, but really good control, some warmth it gives. It's really nice for that. And lastly, let's check it out on this vocal and let's see what that can do.
I was smoking big joints when you called me. Got me stressed out. Get them off me, I'm flying to the next spot. I'm always on the run. I was smoking big joints when you called me. Got me stressed out. Get them off me, I'm flying to the next spot. I'm always on the run. I was smoking big. I was smoking big joints when you called me. Got me stressed out. Get 'em off me. I'm flying to the next spot. I'm always on the run. I was smoking big joints when you called me. Got me stressed out. Get 'em off me. I'm flying to the next spot. I'm always on the run. I was smoking big joints when you called me. Got me stressed out. Get 'em off me. I'm flying to the next spot. I'm always on the run. I was smoking big joints when you called me.
So that sounds nice. Like it, once again on the other ones, it kind of thickened it up and brought it alive. And I like the compression on here. The thing I'm still going to keep driving at is I'm missing the gain in, but it's okay. Or maybe another gain here for the compressor just to separate it. But overall, fantastic plugin, lots of tone, lots of cool vibe. I'll be using it probably on my music bus the most, I think, just by playing with it so far, just to give a little more saturation, a little more warmth and depth and girth to a signal. I think it's really good for that. And then just general control with the compression, just like a dB or two. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you need your song mixed and mastered, hit me up at mixedandmastermysong.com. You can also check my presets and courses there too. Talk to you soon.